Yo. We're back. I had the week off. I was in Oklahoma. It was a very exciting time to say the least. But shout out to my boy Drew for holding it down in my place. He's got the keys to the kingdom now. He can see everything that's happening behind the scenes. We now have two capable people here that can run the stuff on the show. This is the Around the 412 Fantasy Football Show. I'm Joe Frick. As always with me, the ball knowing, the guaranteed lock for the semis, the guaranteed lock for the ship. Going to bring home a lot of trophies this year. Your boy, Drew Hannis. Drew, how we doing tonight?
I'm doing good. It's so good to have you back because even though I was able to figure out how to work the behind the scenes, I did not like the role that I was playing last week. It wasn't my thing. It did get better as the show went on, I feel like. But at the beginning, I was just like, man, I do not have as much to say as Joe typically has to say. So it's just
yapping is a weird skill that I have, and I don't understand how I have it. But it's definitely different because, I mean, we've been doing this show together how many years now? So it's not like you don't know the cadence of the show or what's going on. But, yeah, trying to manage all of this stuff behind the scenes, if you're not doing it all the time, usually it takes me like 3 or 4 weeks to really get into it once the season starts. But, yeah, you did a good job last week. I did watch it. Shout out to our boy Merrick who held it down for me in this place. He didn't get the King's position here, but, he looked good in silver, so – it was pretty solid. We got Ricky Dunks in the chat. He said he's got Drew this week in Dynasty. I feel like I also have Drew in this league because I've talked with Ricky about this team a lot and maybe have or have not coached some of the decisions that have come for this. I can't say on air who I'm rooting for, but I hope that both teams have a lot of fun.
If that's true, I'm going to send you half of the winnings if he ends up winning the league. You already alluded to it, but the semis are like the most stressful week of the year for me because I choke away so many leagues in the semis every year. So last year I was in 17 leagues, went to the semis in 16 out of 17. The one that I didn't was Fishbowl. I don't even know what you call the round I was eliminated in Fishbowl, but I only went to the championship of one league out of 16. So this year I'm in 7. I am in the semis in 5 out of the 7. The other one is a free league, and the other one was Fishbowl, which I didn't make the playoffs. So, like, in the semis again, it better not be like last year where I just get eliminated like crazy and just this is the worst week ever. Hopefully, I'm in the championship.
That's part of it too. There's so much that goes into the fantasy playoffs. You think of like real life football. You kind of have a sense of like who the good teams are going to be. Oh, like you expect these teams to win these games. Fantasy, you make it to the dance. You have Kyle Pitts who just randomly goes off for 40 on you. That knocked me out of a league last week. And it was just like, all right, fine, cool, whatever. So that wasn't great. But, now with some of the injuries we're going to talk about, I wouldn't have been able to field a team this week anyway, so it wouldn't have really mattered.
Yeah, Ricky has me in the perfect week because I'm going to be without Devontae Adams, who's first on the list here with a hamstring. He's been battling the hamstring for weeks, but finally it's gotten to the point where it seems like he's going to sit. Obviously, it's a Thursday night game too. That didn't help. So I'm going to be without Devontae Adams against him. I'm also going to likely be without Rashee Rice, who popped up on
concussion
protocol. So
before you put the lab coat on in full, Zach is requesting some respect. Zach, we're requesting a text back. We've been waiting for like 4 days to get a text back in the group chat.
Yeah, talk about respect, dude. Like, I texted him like 6 times over like 3 days, and it was just nothing but crickets. Like, he did finally just text me like 10 minutes ago, though, right before this. Because
Zach's out here working on his traps, drinking Christmas coffee, and putting together Steelers fits. Like, dude's just living his best life. So, shout out to our boy, always holding it down. He said currently in combos with Drew right now. That's cool because my phone's real dry. But that's okay because you know what isn't? Our injury updates, and we're going to hit those right now.
Yes, I already alluded to 2. Adams is going to be out with the hamstring, and then I'm hoping Rashee Rice plays, honestly. Like, really, that'll crush me in so many leagues if he doesn't play. It'll be brutal.
Yeah.
And honestly, like, that could be the breaking point that I just go 0-5 on the week, but we'll see.
I'm really glad that I traded that late first for him to get hurt in a game that I needed that output, and now it's like
he got hurt late though. It was just one of those things. It just wasn't.
Yeah, but if he would have made that catch on that ball, I probably would have won the week.
Yeah, would you lose by?
Only like a couple points.
Yeah, because it was the weirdest matchup ever where they went into Monday night where you were both tied at like 163.17, like a crazy weird
Yeah,
number.
and then he had Warren, and then Warren put up like not a lot.
Yeah, because he had the flu. I was worried that he was going to be inactive, and I was going to have to figure out a way for you guys to have a tiebreaker. And I was
I
going to.
think that sleeper by default does total points 4
Okay.
in the event of a tie. Yeah,
Which
but
is tough.
you can either do like total points 4. There's different ways you can set it up, but there's something for it.
Yeah, that you would have got the win had that happened, but
Oh yeah, I had so many points sitting on my bench. That was the worst part, and I don't feel like I played like a bad lineup.
oh no, you were.
I had the second best score of the week in the league.
Yeah.
Just happened to play the first.
Yeah, the person that won the other matchup too texted me the next day. He goes, "Oh, playoffs started," and I was like, "You son of a gun." I was so pissed, but okay. Anyways, back to some of these injuries because there's actually a long list.
Yeah.
Bam Knight suffered an ankle. They didn't really say too much about it. It's probably a high ankle variety. Dude was already placed on IR. So Michael Carter, who I've actually low-key been stashing in a lot of leagues just all year, because even though he wasn't like said to be the guy, he was getting enough run that he could have been a flex option on a good week.
That whole situation has been so weird though in Arizona. It's very much like a carousel. Horrible matchup against Atlanta. I think a lot of people are going to start him expecting a big performance. I'm fading him pretty hard. Yes, he may get the volume. We've seen DeMarcado come in and be effective, so I don't know what that split's going to look like. Michael Carter got cut from the team at one point a few weeks ago, so it's like, what does that role really look like? But I think they're going to be looking to pass early and often, especially if Marv's able to get back on the field this week. So tread lightly with Michael Carter.
I have him in every one of my lineups because I have to. So that was
yeah.
bullshit.
I mean, the running back situation this year isn't great. I think at this point in the season, it's very much like if you're going to have to play him, how do you build the rest of your lineup around something like that?
Yeah,
like, for example, Joe Burrow has a brutal matchup this week. If you have him, are you not going to play him? Unless you have a solid backup, you're probably playing Burrow. But how do you build those things around that?
I don't think you start Burrow this week, but that's another.
You shouldn't. But, I mean, if you don't have another option, like you're not going to play, I don't know.
I would play my OnlyFantasy over him this week.
Yeah, but are you going to? Well, we'll talk about that in the headlines because there's been some things that have been happening. So
I'm not even prepared for headlines at all. It's weird. We didn't talk about this at all. We'll make it work. I'll rock it on the fly.
You know where this is going.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, I'm in on Michael Carter just because I think that he's going to be the only guy getting touches. I really do. DeMarcado has been hurt too. He missed 3 weeks and then he came back last week and didn't play too much. He might eat up into the passing game a little bit, but I think that Michael Carter is going to get 20 touches at least. I just feel like that's going to be the case. But I could be dead wrong. I'm hoping for it. I have to start him. There's just so many injuries that there's just no other options. I picked up Jawar Jordan because of Woody Marks. That's another injury that's out there. He suffered an ankle injury. He gets like banged up like every week though. It's like weird. He doesn't finish games, but it seems like he's going to be all right because
they said it was precautionary. He could have went back in the game, but they wanted him for later.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It threw me off because they signed Jordan to the active roster right away, like yesterday. So that's why I put a ton of fab on him in a few leagues too. I was like, why would they sign him to the active roster that quick? If they
I think it's because he put up a 100-yard game, and they still had 2 promotions from the practice squad. I think they were worried that he might get sniped.
Yeah, but they were on it quick. So I thought that was a sign that he was going to be playing a little bit. We'll see if Marks does sit. I think that Jordan is like a must start. They have the Raiders this week. Like that's a smash play for a dude that might have the entire backfield to himself. Yeah. We'll see. Either way, if Marks plays, obviously he's a guy you're going to want in your lineup because the Raiders are brutal. Devin Neal, I could have brought that up later because that was my only fantasy from last week. He suffered a hamstring injury. He's already out. He was actually playing really well too before he got hurt. I feel good about that being a smash only fantasy had he not gotten hurt. Got hurt in the first quarter. I'd already had almost 30 yards rushing and a touchdown early, but that's tough. He's out this week. We're looking at Evan Hall and potentially Audric Estime.
Estime back from the dead, man.
Yeah. I tried to find him on some dynasty team leagues, but he wasn't available, unfortunately. So that's gonna be tough. All the teams that have him aren't even in the playoffs anymore, but it is what it is. I'm actually low key really hoping that Alvin Kamara sneaks into the lineup back this week because that would be amazing.
It's
personally, but
possible, but I mean, I don't know. I just don't feel like he has it.
yeah, I'd still play him though, given my situation. That's really all that it
Sure.
is. Just I'm
Yeah.
so beat up at some of these spots now. Week 16 is hard to find these guys to plug into a dynasty league. So, anyways, RJ Harvey, he also suffered a rib injury. He's day to day. I kind of think that he's going to play, but he has a horrible matchup this week that is like banged up plus Jaguars, who have been the worst matchup for running backs on the season. Personally, I try to avoid, but if you don't have any other options again in the semis, like you'll have to roll with it. At least he's getting majority of the work. I wouldn't even consider touching Jaleel McLaughlin or Tyler Beatty. I think that they would be a 50-50 split if Harvey were to miss, but we'll see about him. He has a chance to play, but we're not sure. And then Devon Vele was already ruled out with a shoulder. He was a guy I plugged him into a couple of DFS lineups I sent you the other day, and I didn't even realize he had a shoulder injury till yesterday, and now he's
out. Yeah.
And then Luther Burden, he suffered an ankle injury. He missed practice today. Rome, he suffered a setback during pregame warmups last week, so he's also. I think that they're both probably going to miss. So,
Bro, why did they have this man with a broken foot running around in sub-zero weather? Like, that's just so stupid.
Stress fracture, yeah, it's brutal. I don't know. I think that he's just a really tough dude to really push, and then they didn't have the guts to tell him no, and then it didn't work out. So we'll see. I think that they're both gonna. I think both of them are gonna miss. So DJ Moore is gonna be good. I'm looking at Colson Loveland as the guy I like as well as that second option. Maybe Zacchaeus, but I think that you want to have Moore or Loveland as the two guys you would start in a playoff matchup. But
all right, we got to just knock out some of these puns because Zach is in rare form in the chat. So we got Doghouse Demarcado. I don't know who he was talking about that was short. I think it was one of the running backs we were talking about pretty early on.
He was talking about himself.
Oh, that's tough. Vele, what a horrible trade. That one was pretty weird. They invested pretty heavily. He showed some flash the last couple of weeks, but he kind of pittered out in the last two. Ankle injury, that could be a burden. Man.
Did you just bought a house? Like, this is just who he is.
This is a progressive commercial just live on the stream.
He's just looking out the window to see what his neighbors are doing right now as he has a stream going in the background.
Yeah, probably true.
Anyways, last injury. I thought that this was going to be the headline, so we could just flow right into this, but I could be wrong. It's Pat Mahomes, obviously.
No, I don't care about him. You know what's funny? I thought that he was like faking.
He's been dealing with a knee injury for a few weeks now, and obviously he just took it off.
The way that he fell though, I had no inclination. I was like, oh, ACL.
Yeah, so there's a little bit of like an obvious trigger when you see the video. It's not just always like the knee like having a hyperextension. Those are like the real bad ones. But like you can kind of see like the shin kind of like shake a little bit when an ACL breaks, and that's exactly what happened on his. So it was like the most obvious thing ever. He tore his LCL as well, which honestly, this is crazy. Like everybody's like worried, like talk about him missing a lot next year. I don't think he's going to miss a ton next year,
especially because he's already got surgery. He's already started rehab.
Yeah, like it's just who he is. Like I feel like they'll put him out there. He's going to be confident in himself. Like this is who he is. And they're just going to put him out there without having much practice time or anything because he plays quarterback. It's not like he's going to need to be crazy conditioned. You hope that they can protect him a little bit. Maybe he misses like a month at the beginning of the year, but he's not going to miss all of 27 like a lot of people are talking about. So like I'm not overly concerned about him for next year. He just might have a slower start. It's not going to be one of those things where people are saying he's not going to play till like November and December, and it's going to be a lost season for them. I think there's recency bias there with like Brandon Ayuk, who's like makes no sense. Oh, Zach said 27. I get it. I meant 26. My bad. I just have 27 picks on the mind for rookie draft because I don't have any 26 picks. Next year doesn't exist.
I'm going to laugh at the 26 class is like the best of all time.
As long as I win some.
Not because of your picks, but just because everybody has been looking past them for so long.
Yeah. It's just because like all of my teams are win now. So I was just like, I'm just going to go.
Sure.
But we'll see. I think that he'll play early on in 26. I'm not overly concerned about his long-term future. Like a lot of people are kind of throwing it out there. And it's because Brandon Ayuk's situation's been so weird. Like he tore his ACL early last year and he just like didn't even like he didn't come back. Plus he just vanished for a month and they don't know where he is. Like it's just weird.
No, he is still tweeting like a wide receiver one though. I'll give him that.
Perfect Steeler for next year. That's all the injuries I got though.
All right, so before we jump into headlines, let's just clear out the backlog of the chat. So Ricky with a little flex here. Semifinals, 11 of 14 leagues this week. One league last week, I scored 191 points. Unfortunately, the other guy scored 217. Yeah, you don't expect to get blown out when you put up 191. But, I mean, that has Pitts written all over it.
I'm in a couple leagues where the Pitts owner still lost.
Yeah.
People survived Pitts somehow. It's Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah. I saw a stat. There was allegedly on Sleeper 28 teams that lost despite playing Lawrence and Pitts last week. Could you imagine?
You played Pitts and Etienne went nuts too.
Mm-hmm. It was fun. It was real fun.
It's just tough because you went all in, but you were it's just crazy to think about how close you were to winning and you faced both of those guys. Like it's crazy.
I know. And then I had Travion sitting on my bench. That would have won me the week.
Travion
over Christian Watson. I should have played Travion though because he's playing the Bills and everybody runs the Bills.
Yeah. It's just so hard to know when to play Travion because he has to break a big one.
And he did it twice.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so let's hit the start sit real quick. 2 different leagues, Godwin or Tracy at the flex, and then another one, Rico Dowdle or Devonta Smith in the flex. Is there anyone that you're leaning more towards? That's like
I'm pulling up your chart here quick.
I mean, purely based off of matchup, I like Rico over Devontae this week. Let me pull up something. A website that I've been using a lot this year that I've been really enjoying is fantasypointsdata.com. They have a lot of really good data points. One of the things that I like to look at the most is the coverage matchup for the week. So based on the different coverages that teams will use, they provide like a coverage grade score. So if I look at Philadelphia this week, Devonta Smith has a negative 4.4% coverage grade relative to the rest of the team. He's expected to have 0.37 fantasy points per route run. Which isn't great amongst the options of Brown, Goddard, and Smith. So for me, Rico Dowdle feels like an obvious start. Tampa Bay's not the stalwart that we're used to seeing against the run. Overall, their defense has been atrocious across the board. So I do like Rico there. Need to do a little bit more digging on Godwin and Tracy, though.
Tracy's got the Vikings, which is – I feel like it's been a bad matchup, but it's been okay over the past 3 weeks. 34.5. Oh no, I'm looking at the wrong side. You flipped the chart here and it's still getting me. Where's Minnesota on here? Oh, they're a horrible matchup, 21.2 over the past 3. And I feel like they've been a difficult matchup most of this year.
Yeah, and if we look at
I don't feel great about
the Bay looked like. So last week, Godwin ran 92% of the routes, got 4 targets. So he's the third option on that offense. Mike Evans immediately comes back, retains wide receiver 1. Egbuka, a lot of people weren't really thrilled that he only had the 4 receptions, but he still had 7 targets. His expected fantasy points with and without Evans have been identical. It's just, does he break the long one or not? I don't really like the role that I'm seeing. If Godwin's getting 92% of the snaps and not getting the target share for it, he had 15 air yards on 4 targets. Like, that's pretty atrocious.
He's doing cardio right now.
Yeah, he's out there doing cardio. So give me Tyrone Tracy.
Yeah.
So I say give me both the running backs on this.
Yeah, the other thing with like Egbuka is like he's been getting a lot of targets like all year. We talked about this last week on the show when we swiped with him. They just can't. The connection's just not there right now with him and Baker, and Baker's banged up. So like it's tough to really want to start Egbuka either. It's really just starting Evans in my opinion. Egbuka if you have to.
Yeah, we'll see. I had to play Egbuka in a number of spots last week. It went about as well as you'd expect, but Kind of is what it is. But let's transition over to our headlines for the week. So the big one coming out today, Tua Tagovailoa riding the
Oh,
Pine Pony in Miami. They're turning it over to seventh round rookie Quinn Ewers, who was the cover athlete of College Football 25 last year. And that's pretty much the only noteworthy thing that he's really ever done in his career. But he had promised
mullet.
there was talk that he could be like an elite pick going into the draft last year. Didn't have the final season that he would have hoped. There's been a lot of chatter about how he kind of was blocking Arch from his development, and then Arch didn't really come out so hot. But Drew, what do you think this is going to do for Miami? Do you think that it improves the offense at all? Do we see Tua come back next year? Do you think he gets traded? Like, what are your vibes on this?
Tua, I think, is going to be gone, which is crazy because of that contract that they just signed him to. But everything's pointing to them getting rid of him for 26. But honestly, for fantasy, this probably gives a little bit of a bump in terms of volume for Devon Achane, but like you got to be a little more worried about what he's going to see in his front. He has a phenomenal matchup this week though against the Bengals. The main killer for me is like I think Darren Waller was a great start at tight end this week.
He was a must start against Cincy. If you played every tight end against Cincy, they are the tight end 2 on the season.
You can't start him this week though because he's only playing like half the snaps, and it's going to be Ewers now. I don't think you can start Waller now.
I don't know, man.
That's the main killer.
I still am considering it.
I have him in multiple leagues for this week, and I've already removed them from the lineup unless I can't because sleepers annoy me because there's a guy that's going to be inactive, but he's currently not out, so my lineup is illegal right now. But
Yeah.
he's going to be moved out of my lineups, and I don't think you could start Waddle either.
No.
Like it's a playoff matchup. You gotta feel a little better about these guys to put them in.
Let me ask you this. Because this is a lineup consideration that I'm gone back and forth of. Who do you like better? You got Parkinson on Thursday night or Darren Waller?
Parkinson's such a trap.
Is he, though? He's been a top 7 tight end like 6 of the last 7 weeks.
Yeah, but it's Thursday night football against the Seahawks, who have a good defense. The Seahawks need to win this game.
Everybody in that game needs to win that game.
But if the Rams clinch their division, if they win, it's a hat and shirt game for them. So
that's what I'm saying.
In Seattle, though, I feel like Parkinson is a trap. I really do. Like I think so many people spent a lot of fab on him this week because he had a breakout game with touchdowns last week.
But that's been a thing for a lot of weeks now.
It just feels like a trap. I don't know why. Like I'd probably start Waller over Parkinson. I just don't feel great about that. I really don't. Especially because they do utilize all 3 of those tight ends. And the matchup is bad.
So Colby Parkinson has had basically 4 receptions a game. He's had a touchdown in 5 of the last 6. So he's been tight end 8, 11, 5, 24, 11, 5.
It's just the matchup for me. I'm scared of Seattle this week for whatever reason. Obviously, you still start Puka and stuff like that, but like I don't feel great about Parkinson for some reason. It's like you remember when Woody Marks went off and everybody was like, "Oh, we were a week too late on," and then everybody like we Tinder swiped right on him that week, and everybody went nuts for it. And then the following week he came out and it was like back to nothing again. It was just like everybody's been gravitating towards Parkinson this week that it feels like it's a trap to me. I
think part of it is because Devontae's not playing, so there's one less mouth to feed. I think in order for me to play him, we already know Devontae's not going to play. We also need to not have Tyler Higbee back. Because if Tyler Higbee's back, then that completely destroys it.
And I have no idea whether he's going to play or not.
No, we'll see. We'll find out. Just want you to know that you got Joned. Bang.
Can we get rid of him?
I actually don't think that we can. It's his channel. So we got removed Waller from my lineups, benched Waddle for Cortland Sutton. Higbee does blow. This is accurate, but it just diminishes his role in the offense because they'll throw Higbee out there.
I know that Parkinson's been good. Like I added him in a few leagues, I think I'm in a league with you. Did I add him in life?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I added him in life. We're in a league together, and I added him with the thought of this. But I just have weird vibes about tomorrow night's game because a lot of the
Yeah.
Thursday night games have sucked. First off,
I feel
and
like
I
they've been
feel like
better this year, actually.
they've been well. The Thursday ones were immaculate. Those games ruled on Thanksgiving, but like as of late, they've been good. I just feel like this one's going to be weird. I don't know.
While we're on the subject of the Rams, Puka Nakua is showing some very interesting wide receiver one energy.
He's such a dog, dude.
No. Did you hear the
Oh,
story that came out today?
I saw what he did. He tried to sneak in like streamers from.
He went full Juju Smith-Schuster, tried to bring 2 streamers to the practice facility today to do like a live recording. He went full AB after last week in the game. He was trying to live stream in the locker room, and then everybody called him out on it. He's like, "No, I ain't live streaming." It's like we could see you.
He's gonna be wide receiver one for the next 4 years in fantasy, and it's gonna be awesome. But like he also like went on a stream and started talking about how refs just call stuff just so they could be on TV sometimes. Like,
right. He's in a weird he's like really showing ass right now. And I don't know why. It's very like strange.
I know. But he rules, man. I love that dude.
He is solid for sure. All right, I just wanted to acknowledge that because I've been laughing about it all day.
It's so funny. Like, and the people that he chose to bring in for streams too. Like, I don't know much about them, but like I know the name and I usually hear the name in negative.
Sure. Like, yeah. We'll see. Well, something that's never negative and always fun is Fantasy Football Tinder. We're going to transition to that right now. So to give you an example of how Fantasy Football Tinder works, we are going to start with the chat's very own Zachary Smith. The people want to know, next year, can Rocking Around the 412 reach 100 children? This year, we were able to help 75 kids. So thank you to everybody that was donating, to kind of retweeting, putting out all the info out there. Absolutely awesome numbers that they put up. Best year that we've ever had. So really proud of that. Kudos to Zach and Tyler for everything that you do for the community. I think it's just super awesome. I'm pumped. We're hitting 100 next year. You will swipe right on that. Everyone swipes right on that. You're going to see the green hearts pop up on the screen. If you're a hater, man, F you, get out of here. We're not even going to talk about it, but in the event that you did swipe left, you'd see the red X on the screen. But Drew, let's start off getting into the Christmas spirit here a little bit. So Tony Pollard, he's been really hot lately. Last 2 games, he's had 3 touchdowns. He only had 2 going into the season, basically. And then the last 2 games really popped off. This is semifinals week. Are you hopping on the Pollard Express?
I kind of went back and forth on this because, like, Tony Pollard does have a history of being prominent as a fantasy football player. Like, he showed us stuff with Dallas. He was okay at times last year and the year before. But I just keep coming back to the matchup for this week and how tough it's been for running backs against the Chiefs. They're 10th worst over the past 3, only giving up 19.2 fantasy points. And I was looking at his numbers over the last 2 weeks where he has been really good. He has to get into the end zone. It's another one of those. If he doesn't get into the end zone, he's not going to pay off for you. He's offering you nothing in the passing game. I meant to check how many routes he ran last week, but the week before that, he only ran 2 total routes in all week.
Which is shocking to me because I always viewed Pollard as somebody that was like a positive in the passing game.
Yeah, it's just they're not doing that for him. And he only has 4 goal line carries on the season for the whole season.
Yeah. No, so they haven't made it to the goal line a ton. Did you say left or right?
I don't think I did, but it is left. Okay. Yeah, I swiped left just because it's semifinals week. I don't like to bank on guys that have to get into the end zone. I like guys that have solid floors without getting into the end zone, and then scoring the touchdown will give you the smash play. And with the bad matchup, I'm just not feeling it. I just don't think it's going to repeat for a 3rd week in a row. He was actually available in my redraft league that I'm in the semis, and my opponent just picked him up and started him. So this could come back to bite me in the ass.
Yeah, you know me. I'm horror for high floor, so I'm with you there. If you look at his expected fantasy points per game output, it hasn't changed. His explosive run rate on the season has hovered around like 3 to 5%. It's at 50% right now.
Yeah,
that's like 50 for 5. So it's not like he's been doing all of this work and then finally got it like a goal line carry into the end zone because that offense has been struggling. No, he just ripped a couple of big ones. Could he do that? Maybe, sure. I don't have confidence against the Chiefs that he is going to do that. But for me, it's not consistent enough for me to feel good about that. So I'm with you. Good to see him kind of show signs of life, but I really don't think it's there. And like you said, Tajay Spears is really that pass catching back for them. So the PPR upside, where I think about like someone like RJ Harvey, you mentioned the tough matchup. He could save his day just by catching 5 or 6 passes, getting 30 yards, and you're good. Pollard, if he's not breaking the big run, then you're looking basically at Jordan Mason in blue.
Yeah. And you brought up Tyjae Spears, so I missed that part. They're almost at a 50-50 split, too.
Yeah.
Like, it's too close for comfort.
No, I'm with you there. All right, so let's transition into Tinder number 2. We've talked about him quite a bit on the show. He's been the hot topic amongst the fantasy football community for his output last week, but Kyle Pitts had a top 10 tight end performance of all time last Thursday. Absolute bombshell. Has he finally proven that he's the prince that was promised? He was supposed to be this 4th overall unicorn of a player. We saw the flashes throughout his career, 1,000-yard season as a rookie. Hasn't really gotten to that upper echelon of fantasy tight ends. But Drew, semifinals, how do you feel about having Pitts being your starting tight end?
Yeah, I swipe right on Kyle Pitts. I'm a little concerned now that it's probably likely that Drake London's going to come back this week.
Yeah, I knew this is where, because I'm swiping left literally for that reason.
Yeah, I peeked down a little bit. I scrolled and saw that you're swiping left, and I knew exactly why right away. But I think that Kirk Cousins is throwing the ball enough to support both of them. It's just that like his ceiling might be limited a little bit now that he's coming back. But he's been the leading target getter for Kirk Cousins over the last 4 weeks. But of course, Drake London was not playing in any of those games, and the one that he did, he left early. So like I don't feel as good as I did when I told you I was swiping right on this, but I'm not completely out because the tight end position is so bad, and Kirk Cousins clearly has a thing for Kyle Pitts. So I think it's going to support him enough. He's 3rd in the NFL amongst tight ends in receptions and 2nd in yards. So like, and I feel like that's been so sneaky. He hasn't been scoring touchdowns all year. This is why he's so far down the list. But he has this little like quirky stat about him where he scored 1 additional touchdown every year he's been in the league. So his rookie year, he scored 1 touchdown.
Yeah, sophomore year,
2, 3, 4, and he's at 4 now. So he has to get his 5th. So we have 2 weeks here, and as long as he gets it, hopefully this week to get you into the finals, that's going to help you pay off. So
yeah, I think where this goes for me is he was like a top 6 tight end play, like pretty comfortably when he was out there by himself. Yeah. To me, he's in that tight end 10 to 12 range where it's like if the matchup isn't that great, I don't feel good about it. For me, it was this interesting dichotomy of, all right, we felt like last year with Kirk Cousins, Mooney was the guy for him. Whenever he wasn't going after London, Mooney was the next guy, which just doesn't leave a lot of run for Kyle Pitts. We know that Kyle Pitts has kind of had those injury struggles last year as well, so it seems like he's a lot more healthy, which is cool. So that's definitely nice. I realized that I'm also using the wrong camera this whole show, so that's super dope. I was like, why do I look so different?
Why do you look so different? Pitts is also in a contract year, and I feel like if he just finishes out the next 3 weeks on a positive note, like that's going to help him in free agency. And I'm kind of hoping for that as well.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with him, but it's good to see that he has been able to be successful, do all these things. And yeah, I don't think that there's definitely options of players that, like, for example, like Brenton Strange, he came out hot. Now with Jacoby Myers kind of emerging as Trevor Lawrence's guy, I'm not going to play him over Kyle Pitts. But if you look at some of these other like matchup driven ones, like I think like an interesting one for me, we were talking about earlier, Darren Waller, Kyle Pitts, with London in the mix, I don't know how exactly I feel about that. But
I'm trying to see what the consensus rankers have for him on ESPN because they have so many people that do rankings on there. I like to compare theirs because they average them together.
But we'll see. All right, so let's transition to our OnlyFantasy area of the show. So every week we pick one player only that we think is going to do really well in a given week, which is heightened of importance in a week like this where pretty much you win this week, you're going to the championship, you're locking in a good chunk of money if you play for leagues like that. Otherwise, you can still win the podium. You're playing for the pride game, but we all want the ships. Before we can talk about our picks for this week, we got to jump back into last week. So I wasn't here, so I had a great week. I didn't lose for once. It was the injury show for you guys last week. So Woody Marks, Devin Neal, they finished as top 30 running backs despite both getting injured pretty early in both their respective games. The stat lines both weirdly similar
Almost
as
exactly the same.
well. Yeah, so the only thing that's been interesting about Woody Marks, and I don't know if you've seen the stories that have been surfacing on X, we talked about this play earlier in the week. They're at the goal line, ball snapped. It never touches CJ Stroud, right? It's officially ruled as a fumble for Stroud. So Woody Marks doesn't get the yard carry for the fumble recovery. He only got the touchdown. If you look at his stats, he didn't get a rushing touchdown. He actually got a fumble recovery touchdown.
Yeah.
There have been multiple people that have lost by 0.1 points that had Woody Marks. So they've been making the argument that, well, if it was never touched by Stroud, that's a direct snap, I should be getting that yard carry. Really, I tied. But
they're not going to do anything about it because they don't care about fantasy football. And if you had him on FanDuel or DraftKings, you would have got the early exit promotion, so your bet wouldn't have been a loss. So like they're not even going to care enough to even think about it.
But it's definitely interesting to say the least. It's just like I couldn't imagine like if that I would be just so heartbroken.
It was the weirdest play I've ever seen, though. It looked like CJ Stroud just like crapped out the ball and it just rolled right back to Marks. Like
I honestly thought it was one of those trick plays where like the quarterback kind of like gets aggressively close to the center and then they just snap it through both legs. And I was like, that felt excessive.
When I saw it happen, because I had a quad box going for that during that time because the Steelers played Monday night, and I didn't even see Stroud standing there to the point I thought that they just snapped it. And it was just a really bad snap from the Wildcat. It was just like the weirdest thing I've ever seen. But he got the score for it. But hopefully, hopefully this week's OnlyFantasy production is much better.
Speaking of, who do you got for week 16?
I do want to vent a little bit about how I hate that. Like I've been texting you early in the week, like, oh, I feel really good about this guy's gonna be my OnlyFantasy, and then I start reading articles on Wednesday morning after we have the show all planned out, and all these people start raving about the same player that I've been raving about myself between you and I. It happens so many times. Like I'm starting to get to the point where it looks like I'm copying people because they're putting it out 12 hours before our show, but it sucks. Yeah. But anyways, in week 16, you could call me a mother shucker. Tyler Shuck. And it pisses me off because, like I said, a couple people put out articles, and they literally put out every stat that I was going to say to support why I wanted Tyler Shuck. It sucks. But, like, Joe will vouch for me. I was on this a couple days ago.
There's this crazy concept, Drew. You could announce your OnlyFantasy on Monday if you wanted to.
It's a good surprise to have it.
It's a good surprise. You're right.
Yeah. Or else I would just tweet it. But whatever. Back-to-back Saints, though. He's low-key been pretty solid. At least 17 fantasy points in 4 of his last 5. He's played 7 weeks and having at least 17 in 4 of those 7. The first couple were, adjusting to the league. He's averaging 33 passing attempts per game, which is pretty solid, and he has at least 239 passing yards in 4 of the 5. The big thing for me, though, is that he's running the ball,
which is surprising.
He has at least 6 carries in each of the last 4 games, and he's had at least 2 touchdowns in 3 of 5 games. He's been borderline like 12, 15. He has the Jets this week, though, and honestly, like if you look at it over the past 3 weeks on your chart, they don't look that great, and the number just looks crazy inflated because Trevor Lawrence just went absolutely bonkers on them last week. And I looked at previous weeks too, and it really wasn't that bad. But like last week and this week, they basically started practice squad players on defense.
Right.
Like after trading those Quinn Williams and then trading Sauce Gardner, like they took a little bit of a hit, but now they have injuries to pile on top of that, and it's just like it's hard to even name players that they're starting on defense. So
yeah,
I don't think that was a 1 week thing, and I think that Tyler Shuck's going to run the ball more too as well. I'm a little more concerned that Devon Vele's out because when I did pick this, I expected him to play. I expect this to be a big Chris Olave, Juwan Johnson, Tyler Shuck using his legs. And I think he's going to pay. I think he's a top 5 play this week. And if you're in a situation where you lost Pat Mahomes and you need to stream, if you don't feel good about Joe Burrow, because not only is the fact that his matchup isn't good, he just doesn't seem like a guy that cares about football right now. It's the weirdest thing ever, but like his emotional state at his press conferences are sad looking. Like,
Man, it's embarrassing. He's getting paid all that money. You're the leader of the men in that team, and you're acting like that. Like, go out there and win some games and stop throwing interceptions on screens.
yeah. Did you see the video of him yelling at Zach Taylor during the last game? Like
He's definitely going to get fired after the season's over.
So I thought so too, but apparently they extended him secretly last year past 27, and it doesn't seem like they're gonna.
Well, then they're idiots too.
They're gonna have to pay that money, and the Bengals don't want to pay anybody money for nothing. So like he's probably gonna come back, but it's just really bad right now. So Burrow, if you lost Mahomes, if you don't feel good about Dak, which I'm in a situation where I have Dak, and I don't know if I want to start him against the Chargers because the Chargers have been very good
lights out
quarterbacks. So like situations like that, and you need to fill up a spot during the semis. I think Tyler Shuck is a good start.
I like it. It's got me shucked up right now in the club. All right, for me, I've got one name for you. His name is the Mike Evans from Texas A&M University. He's got 3 games left in the year, and he needs about 750 yards to keep his streak going for 1,000 yards pretty much every year since he's been born. With a 55% snap share last week, he had 12 targets, which turned into 6 receptions for 132 yards. Really love the matchup with them this week. They are playing, Tampa Bay's playing Carolina. Carolina has given up 35.2 fantasy points in the last 3 weeks, and it's pretty much always been the wide receiver one that's had monster games, so I expect that to continue for him. Good to see him back. Good to see him healthy. In typical Mike Evans fashion, he popped up on the injury report today, but I don't think that's going to limit him at all. I think he's going to be good to go. I think we're going to see more snaps. I think we're going to see a similar target share. I think it's going to be a fun time.
Yeah, I feel good about it. And he always shows up in the playoffs. Like, I was so happy to get him back in a couple leagues. Like, I was never worried about starting him because that's just what he does. He shows up at the end of the season.
Yeah. I'm in the Rainbow Bowl, and I picked him up. It's like a best ball league that you get an extra point per first down this year for wide receivers, or I guess like any catch. And he was so money. It was just like, oh, like, excellent. I love this very much. So
he fell so hard on his back during that game last week.
Oh, I know. But yeah, I feel really good about him this week. We'll see what happens. All right, so let's check in. We got one more question before we get into socials and wrapping things up for the day. So who do you like better this week, Brock Purdy or Baker Mayfield?
Let me check the matchup. Purdy's been balling.
Purdy played Tennessee last week, which was like a pretty solid matchup. He's going up against Indy this week. Mm-hmm. Indy's been good, but they also have had the injuries pop up with Sauce in the last couple of weeks. So it's like how much of that is still going to be maintained?
It also could be heavily influenced by how Sam Darnold's kind of been rough the last few weeks.
That's for sure. And then you have Baker going up against Carolina. We talked about how Carolina has been a bit porous. Chuck played well against them last week. I'm probably playing Baker out of the two of them. I think that CMC is going to end up having the bigger game. And they're going to be able to get back on that. Indy's been pretty stout against the run, but just because of that pass-catching prowess for CMC, I think that he kind of has a smash.
I feel like Evans being your OF, Baker kind of is a package deal for you.
Yeah. Chad finally showed up. So, Chad, hope you're well. Said, never leave us with 2 Drews ever again. That's absolutely hilarious. Slightly accurate, but, hey, we could have done worse. We could have had someone like Chad on the show. So at least there's that. How you feeling about the loss of Vele for your only fantasy pick, Drew? Do you think that matters at all for Shuck?
Yeah, I kind of alluded to that, but I know Chad missed it. I don't feel great about it because I did expect him to play when I did initially become a mother shucker, but They still have Chris Olave. Juwan Johnson's been doing well this year too. It should be okay. I think. I mean, they have the Jets, dude. Like,
yeah. I think the only thing that could be like a negative for him is if they score too fast and the game gets out of hand. They're just like, we're chilling.
Yeah, and they just hand off to Audric Estime a ton.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. All right, Drew, let's let the people know where they can find us. It's crazy. We only got 2 more shows left after this one ends. So season coming to a close quick. We will be here next week for championship week. Time might change a little bit because it's Christmas Eve, but us ho-ho-hos will be here ready to make sure that you have all the info that you need so that you can bring home that trophy. So you can find us on X at our personal handles at JOEFRK at Drew Hannis. You can find the show's X handle at AT412FF Show, and you can find us on Twitch or YouTube at Around the 412. If you have questions going into the weekend, find us in any of those avenues. Find us on Reddit. Find our personal numbers. Find our info leaked on the black web. Send us a mailed-in letter. Whatever it needs to be done, make it happen. We've appreciated rocking with y'all this whole season. We want to make sure we can get y'all to the promised land. One last thing, Chad did ask, hey, what were the final totals for Rocking Around the 412? 75 kids, over $4,000. Absolutely awesome stuff. So gifts have been purchased, distributed, ready to go. Santa Claus came, saw, and conquered. So let's get after it there. That's super awesome. But yeah, so that's going to do it for this week. Drew, any closing thoughts?
No, good luck in the semis, and happy second birthday to Noah Shy Hannis, who turns 2 in 3 hours. Took off of work tomorrow. Took a half day. Zayna took completely off, but my little boy turns 2 tomorrow, so excited for that.
The GOAT, man. That's crazy that he's already 2 years old.
Yeah. It's real nuts, honestly.
Yeah, it's mad. It's mad weird. All right, y'all. That's going to do it for us at the Around the 412 Fantasy Football Show. If you like what you're hearing, seeing, reading, like and subscribe. Give us a follow. And best of luck in Week 16. We will see you here 8:30, probably next Wednesday, maybe a little bit later if Santa gets stuck in traffic. But best of luck, and we'll see you in Week 17. Peace.